back of the table like we have done all week, so that way Whitney can grab them. And I do know who commented on my section, just FYI. Just kidding. Looking at you, Tracy. Look at her. She's guilty. Guilty. So, without any more delay, I want to introduce Jim DiMora. And we want to thank you, Jim, for coming in and spending time with us as agents. And Jim has been in the business since 1997. Obviously, we have this screen up here, but more importantly, Jim has been committed to growing his business. Not only growing his business based off of his dream board, but as well profitability-wise. And so he's going to share some really great information. So please be thankful, for him to be able to invest time, because he wants, honestly, when he tells you he wants to help you build your business, he does. He honestly, sincerely wants to do that. And so, Jim, thank you so much for spending time with us.
I usually end the classes by telling people that, this class, it keeps going. It keeps going, meaning that, I'm going to give you a lot of content today. But a week from today, you go on a listing appointment, you don't get it, come talk to me. Say, this is what happened. I didn't get it, didn't get the results I wanted. How could I have done it better? Do it to me, do it to Mike Parda, do it to everybody. Everyone, it's funny when you want something done, ask a busy person, because I always find time to do something. A lot of us, with a time block. I was exactly where you were a long time ago. Geez, I guess we feel old. But this business, it's the same thing over and over and over. I just taught the same class out in Clarkston, and what I told them is that it is the same thing over and over and over. Okay, and what I always tell them is control what you can control, and I'm not a control freak, but I can control how am I on time? Am I prepared for the appointment? Do I have a set marketing plan? These are things that I can control, and more than not, when you do that, you'll get good results. Every time I've taught classes, I've just pretty much put together my outline and done that. I'll try and stay towards the book, which is kind of funny because reading the book, a lot of what they've done is exactly what I do, and it's almost like different ways of getting it. One of my notes that I made is, they give you dialogue and scripts, okay? Figure out what works for you. Because some of the stuff isn't my words, but I have different ways of saying the same exact things and getting the same results. So anyway, starting off with, before the pre-CMA, our job in reality is to lead generate, get listings. You get listings give you buyers, and then buyers obviously eventually sell, which is more listings. And that's where we leverage it. Listings are where it's at. I've heard that in 1997 when I got into business, and I'll guarantee you when I get out of the business, they'll be saying the same exact thing. If you list, you last. Period. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I've always heard showing up is half the battle. Well, once again, showing up prepared, ready to go with a set marketing plan. This class today, listing consultation, so pre-listing, and then what I do prior and what I do afterwards. I'm going to hand everybody, I brought from my last class, my marketing plan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest that two things. If you don't already have one, put one together. And the way that I've done it is from putting the sign into the ground to open houses, everything in between. So when I'm going over the presentation with them, it's very easy to stay focused. Okay. Now, when computers, laptops started getting really in vogue, I guess, I put one on a presentation, a PowerPoint, and if a computer's ever died on you or froze or didn't work, it becomes very uncomfortable at that point. So I'm old school. I go with a hard copy. I'm very touchy-feely. I bring info box sheets, feature sheets, so they can put it in their hands. We'll go over this here in a little bit. Anyway, pre-CMA form. Now going through here, they have, actually, the script, the qualifying script, okay? All these questions here, these are all really good questions. Do you have 5 minutes to talk about, I'm sorry, I'm on page 14.7, is that?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah. How did you hear about me? Where are you moving to? What they're incorporated here, I don't do it this way, but in all fairness, I do it through this form here, okay? Now, this is a great form. Pass those back. Pass those back. This form I have next to my desk, I have in my briefcase, I have in my car when I go to an open house, and this is a general form. So if somebody called, matter of fact, somebody called me today and said, I need to sell my condo. Well, perfect. Do you have a couple minutes, just like what they say, for me to take down a little bit of information, okay? And I start going through it, and first off, immediately, I don't care if it's your first listing or if you've been doing it for years, it's like automatic. This is what we do. Let me take down the information. And you just go through it, take their information, email address, where it's located, and I'll trickle in a couple questions here at the end. You start getting towards the bottom, how long you've been in the home, where's the property back to. Now, this is an old form, but nowadays with Google Maps, see back in the day, we couldn't get on Google Maps and see they're backing up to a landfill or a main road, or they're quartering a main road or something screwy that would attract value. I ask that question now, even most of the times when I'm on, when they call me, give me the address, I'm putting that in Google. Geez, are they on the market? Have they been on the market? Where are they located? If they start asking me about, are you familiar with this stuff? Oh yeah, you're probably right next to another street. Makes it sound like I specialize in that area. Gives us a lot of information. But it'll tell me if they're back into a main road. The reason I ask it now is because I want to hear in their voice, yeah, we're back into a main road. I want them to mentally think that, look, we're not going to be selling for one like in the summer, okay? Yeah. One of the things that's not on here, I automatically ask it, and also my assistant asks this. When you get to the point where you have an assistant, she automatically fills this out, automatically. One of the questions on here, what do you think the home's worth? Actually, that's my words. I'm trying to figure out where it was. Anyway, what do you think the home's worth? A lot of times, I'd probably say half the times, they're going to say, I don't know, that's why I'm calling you. The other half the times, the house might be worth $200,000. They might say $250,000. Okay? So what does that tell me? I'm going to need to prove to them that it's worth $200,000, my CMA. So I'm kind of getting over a little cough or something. Or what I might do is bring properties that are selling or active at $250,000. More square footage, finished walkout basement, so they know that, geez, this is what $250,000 looks like. And just put it in front of them, let them make an intelligent decision, okay? If they say they think it's worth $175,000, well, that's a good thing. The comp's showing $200,000, but who knows, when we walk the property, they might need a lot of updates or upgrades. A lot of times people, they describe a house and probably half the times they're accurate from what I would describe it, okay? I also ask them at the end, what have you done to the property to add value? What kind of updates? Kitchen, bathrooms, decking, interior, exterior, okay? My assistant asks the same exact things. And sometimes, especially if someone did their own work themselves, my husband did the crown molding, he updated the bathroom, or he painted this room or that room. She makes the notes so that when I get to the home and I'm doing a little tour of the home, wow, look at that crown molding. Wow, this is beautiful, this bathroom's beautiful. So it kind of, it's a third party. At that point, it's just me. It's not like they told me I'm repeating it. I'm pointing it out to them. So, it helps build rapport. So anyway, so the pre-CMA form, so pretty much have this everywhere. It's going to enable you to do a one-step appointment, okay? What a one-step is pretty much is pulling up, what I usually do as soon as I hang up, or my assistant, is I'll pull from public record, Wayne County, I have an icon, click on it, put in their address, spit it out, it takes 30 seconds. Do a history on it, how long ago they buy it, print out the listing ticket. Do a history, print out the history of it. get on the township or the city website, print it out. They've got blueprints, they've got layouts, they've got surveys. And literally 5 minutes, and I've got a stack of stuff that it looks like I spent hours getting ready for this thing. Because that's the first thing when I pull it out by CMA. This is what the city says. This, not only that, they might say, you know, my square footage is 4,000 square feet. Well, the city's saying it's 37, the township says, or the public record says that, and when you bought it, it's that, and the builder says that. So it kind of puts in perspective, you know, reality for them. Okay. By doing the pre-CMA, now I can sit down and do a very thorough market analysis. I can make it a one-step appointment. Okay. And it makes it very user-friendly. If they have an old listing ticket, boy, it makes it very simple for us to pull up all the listing paperwork. By the way, every listing appointment that I go on, I don't care if the person says, I just want a number. I'm bringing the listing agreement 100% full, ready to go. Okay. I have everywhere step-by-step listing appointment. You know, once again, questions that I ask just out of conversation. You know, where would you go if you sold your home? I'm trying to figure out their motivation. You know, we just bought another house, we're closing on it, or yeah, we're going to be retired in 3 years. We don't know. So just trying to figure out what is their sense of urgency. Okay. Once again, it's asking questions. And every bit of script and dialogue, there's a rhyme and a reason for it that Keller Williams gives you. Okay. And they're all trying to figure out their motivation and what are they going to do. I think to make it very simple, I used to do open houses quite a bit, and I still do. Okay, the right situation. I listed a property once. Actually, I went up against 3 agents, and I got done with my marketing plan and the pricing. And I said, "Well, are you happy with the marketing?" They said, "Yes." "Are you happy with the pricing?" "Yes." "What's it going to take for you to list your home with me today?" And they said, "Will you do an open house every Sunday?" "Yeah." So I said, "Will you list with me today if I do that?" I was younger. And they said yes. So now I'm stuck in a condo in the Woodlands, a nice subdivision in Northville, 2,500 square foot, Cape Cod, vacant though. And I'm stuck there every Sunday. And that's when the market started to get a little challenging, I guess is a polite way of putting it. And I did it Sunday, did it the next Sunday. And I'm competing against new construction and also other ones. And then I started getting almost not angry, but I had to be there and stand there all day long. So what I started doing was I had a listing ticket. I would meet the people at the door and say, "My name is Jim DiMora with Keller Williams." I took the opportunity to highlight all the updates and upgrades of the condo. "If you have any questions, please let me know." I handed it to them. So now they're looking at it. And 2 things. If it wasn't going to work for them, they came to the surface. "Oh, you're not looking at that price range. Let me help you find something else." But more importantly, they'd walk through the house and I'd sit next to the door on the way out. And I'd flat out ask them, "What are we offering?" And it sounds like a crazy question, but 2 things happened. You know, they'd giggle, and I kept saying it. And in reality is, you know, what are we offering? "Well, I have a house to sell first. I can't make an offer." "Oh, you do? Let's fill out a pre-CMA form. Let me show you what it's worth. Would this work for you after?" "No, you're looking for something smaller? Okay, let me help you run a search." Well, reality was that question puts them into a corner. And the reality of it was, on the 4th or 5th open house, I said, "What are you going to offer?" And they said, "Do you think they'll take this?" "Let's go find out." Wrote an offer, and I got both sides of it. But once again, that question, just what are we offering? Now, anytime I show a listing, when I get to the front door on the way out, I'm flat out asking them that. And I think it's a legitimate question because they probably already took a tour of it. They looked at it in Google Maps. They drove by it. They're pre-approved. They knew the number of bedroom, square footage, price. What are we offering? And it might be something I can overcome with, geez, we didn't like the paint in the kitchen. Oh, let's ask for a painting allowance. Or we were expecting granite, but there's Formic in there. Well, they probably didn't know what kind of granite you wanted. You want Ubatuba, Verde Butterfly? You want Corian? Let's go ask for an allowance. I mean, everything's negotiable. Our job is, you know, let's figure out what the problem is, and now we can resolve it. The layout, I can't really, was that a load bearing wall? I mean, you know, if it's something we can resolve, let's do it. You know, that makes it very user friendly. But once again, that's why all these questions that they're giving you, very, very important, but you need to kind of understand and work them into your conversation. I made a note here, I'm not a good conversationalist. I'm not. But all the questions that I ask when I go on appointments, it's all the things that I've learned from scripts, classes, and I have a coach, Steve Callawayers. I mean, they have a lot of classes that offer here to take advantage of it. And there's a lot of people here that have been to the School of Hard Knocks, and I know it doesn't work, and I've been beat up. And open houses, boy, that's a great. I mean, I've done that, and that works. What are we offering? Not making offer. Why not? You have a house to sell, or you're not in the market, or what? At least you put them into a corner. The reality will come up. Going back to the pre-CMA form, a lot of times when we fill it out, and I know Mike Kern is doing a class tomorrow, and I know Mike back in the day before the big team, he used to always ask the people, "Are you interviewing another agent?" Because what he wants to do is try and nip it in the bud from right then and there. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but that's not me, because I've said, "Are you interviewing other agents?" I don't want to hear, "Should I?"
Mm-hmm.
When I first started off in 1997, I was working with my brother, and he set out a lot of expired letters, and it was a whole packet. And the last page said there's an article saying you should interview 3 agents. I know, that's the same thing too. And a funny thing happened. Every time I went on an expired listing appointment, and I went on a lot of them, they were interviewing 2 other people. And I kept telling my brother, stop putting that in there. Stop putting there, because they're interviewing 2 other people. But in hindsight, it was genius, because every single appointment I showed up for, I knew I was going up against 2 other people, or I thought I was. So I showed up with a market analysis. I showed up with a marketing plan. I showed up on time, in a suit, ready to go. Okay? And I think that some agents, they just the sellers don't tell you you're interviewing against. Some of them won't tell you. Some of them won't tell you that they're going to go for sale by owner. And if you really hit a good marketing plan and a good market analysis, that's going to extinguish. I can't tell you how many appointments I've been on, and I get done with it. They're like, "Well, we're just going to go with you," or "Geez, you blew the other guy out of the water." The other one didn't even talk about marketing. I don't care if they just want price. Just for the heck of it, let me show you how we sell them, so that when you do go to sell it, you'll know what kind of advertising, what kind of ingredients I'll need from you to advertise it. Okay? And a lot of them are thinking to themselves, "For sale by owners," and here's my marketing plan that they can't do. Right. They can't duplicate it. So it really extinguishes pretty much everything.
Jim,
yes.
have you ever had someone say, "Well, gosh, I'm only interviewing you, but maybe I should interview a couple more"? I had that last week with someone, and I had gotten a listing from them, and she goes, "I feel really badly because I only interviewed you, and I really felt like you were the right person." And I'm like, don't feel bad. 84% of all sellers go with just the first, one agent. They don't, because that is the NAR stat, that is true.
It is 100%. Is there something that I missed that you expected to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you do open house every Sunday? Well, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever it is, and once again, you're going to ask them what that is. One of the things here, I take a lot of classes. This book here, I highly recommend it. This kind of dovetails into what you're talking about. This book was it's an FBI agent who all he did was interrogate people for years and years and years and years. So he knows how to read body language. What people are, what they're saying is, and it's really unique because there's a top agent, Ben Kinney. I'm sure you guys maybe have heard of him. He's a huge agent out of Washington. He said to read this book, and he's changed his listing presentation, and I've changed mine too, because I used to always, sit at the kitchen table right across from him. Okay. Right. And if you read the book, how do interrogators interrogate? Well, they sit right across from them. There's a light right here, and the people are very uncomfortable. So now when they're sitting across from me, I always ask, it's less intimidating to sit on the side. And I always explain to them, I'm going to be, I can't read upside down. So it's less intrusive. But just looking at, you know, the body language. Probably the perfect example, I went on a listing appointment, it was an estate. There was 4 siblings and their spouses and somebody else was there. So there's 8 people I was doing a listing presentation for, okay? 2 of them lived in my geographic farm, so they've been getting my, hey, I sell houses for years, okay? Those are the people I talked to. And the one gentleman, I'm doing everything, and we had great rapport, walked the house with him, went through my listing presentation, boy, we were laughing and joking, and there's one gentleman like this in the back, and I always try to make, when I'm doing a presentation like that, I'm always trying to make eye contact and try and, you know, keep everyone engaged and keep it, hopefully everyone laughing, because if they're laughing, you're closing, okay? And this guy was just sitting here like this, and I got to the end of my presentation, and I said, you know, you guys feel comfortable with the marketing? Oh yeah, that's great. A lot of things we never thought about. You feel comfortable with the pricing? Yeah, that's perfect. So I pulled out the paperwork like we were getting ready to sign. And then he speaks up. I'm like, okay, here it comes. Well, his soon-to-be son-in-law just got his real estate license. So you know, and now immediately in my head it comes in, and I say, I can't say that, what I'm thinking, I got to soften it up. And immediately I'm thinking, you know, so do you feel comfortable with it? Oh yeah, I feel extremely comfortable. Why am I here? Why did you call me? I mean, very politely. And I said, well, what company is it with? Because immediately I'm thinking, okay, it's gone. It's gone. What company is it with? And he said, he'll be America, he'll be Max, or whatever. I said, well, great, with Keller Williams, we've got a great program here. If you know, if he was at our office, if he's brand new, we got great education, we share. How about if, you know, he comes over office, we co-list it, I'll teach him how to do it. Everyone here would feel comfortable with me being the lead agent. I'll walk him through it, he learns, and everyone wins in this situation. Well, as brokers do that. And I said, and I'm thinking to myself, well, do you feel comfortable with a broker? Because why am I here? I mean, it's almost like a for sale by owner at the very end of it, when they let you know they're going to go for sale by owner, and they say, I don't need a real estate agent. Why am I here?
Want all your information.
Yeah.
Shop
Exactly. Now, so here's reality. You know, I thanked everybody. Okay. I go off with a philosophy that I'm going to control what I can control. I controlled everything up to that moment where this guy was. I was there on time. I was dressed in a suit. I had a CMA that could choke a horse. The marketing plan was, I mean, they were all impressed. You know, we got along great. But I can't control that. So I got up and I shook everyone's hand, even, you know, crotchety guy. And you know, here's reality. The 2 other people who live in my farm, I've already gotten 1 referral from them, and both of them have said that when we go to sell, we definitely are going to go with you, right? Hands down. So I mean, it would have been really, you know, a real quick satisfaction to tell them all where to go and walk out of there. But I mean, it's like I can't control that, and the universe kind of works itself out. Anyway, and I felt better about it, taking the high road.
I'm surprised that the other 6 people there that were in your corner wouldn't say, you know, we don't know if we have confidence in this young, you know what I mean, someone without any experience, you know, because I've been in estate situations before, and the majority sometimes rolls. It's tough, and I tried politely, but the one pulled me aside, and they said, you know, look, he was the squeaky wheel.
Well, I tell you, it's funny. It's funny in certain situations because most of the time when it's you, let's say for an example that kid who's getting his license, he goes to his family. You know, there's a lot of doubters, and most of them have your last name. You know, but on the outside, you being the outsider, everybody wanted to give him a chance, even though he was probably getting flack from everybody, saying, "Oh, that doesn't work. You're not going to be good at it." But when it comes to you being the outsider, all of a sudden now they want to,
sure,
you know, they want to.
Yeah, that's it. You know, the funny thing too is they were going to go at a lower number. They didn't understand the market. And I told them put it at 200, and it sold in one day for 200. They were going to go lower. I explained to them what the market was. I sold that. I mean, I sold the next street over and up the street within the last 3 months of this listing appointment, so, you know.
You knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but once again, control what you can control and don't get married to the results. I mean, I can only do so much, and it's, the only time I get mad after a listing appointment is if I didn't do the CMA right, if I showed up late, if there's something that was very basic and I just didn't do it right. I mean, I don't know if I had ADD or whatever they call it, but I get prepared for every single appointment identically. I mean, the CMA's ready to go. I'm sorry, my marketing plan's ready to go. I even tweak it. If I'm going on a $700,000 listing, I'm putting feature sheets and info box sheets and web hard copies of $700,000 houses. If I'm going on a $60,000 condo, I'm doing all the ones 60. So they think that's what I do. Even in our geographic farms, I used to send out to Northville, and I still do, Northville, Novi. We used to come up with one postcard and just blanket everywhere with the same house. But then I realized that somebody bought one of my, they call it as a sign call, they bought one of my listings, and they had a condo, and it was listed with somebody else, and they're my farm, and they said, we thought you only dealt with the high-end stuff, because here I'm sending these mansions.
Right.
And vice versa. So now we get very specific. The low condos get just sold condos, mid-range, and then the high range. So they think that's what you specialize in. So it seems to work out real well. But I have a set pattern on my marketing plan when I show up to the house, and that's what I'm about to get into here. It's a job interview, so obviously dress professional. Show up on time. All right. I always put in my day planner, one of the last things for the appointment, I used to always do from 1 o'clock to 1:15. I'll be there in a window. And that's not bad, but now when I say 1 o'clock, but in my day planner, I put 1:15 to 1 o'clock. So if I get there early, and I usually do, I'll do a couple things. Either look at the CMA, and if I'm not familiar with it, maybe I'll drive around, and this is why that house sold. That one's backing up to a main road. This one is, this one had a pool or something screwy. At least I'll know where they're at in the farm. Or I'll just sit in there, listen to music, and get ready for it, and pull up right at 1 o'clock, or maybe a minute before. And I have a little ritual where I got Tic Tacs, I got toothpicks. Nothing worse than looking in the mirror and seeing a piece of pepper or something. And then and if you look at my car right now, if you pull down my visor, it says mimic, mirrored mimic. Diane Kokoska, one of the classes that I took, says, you need to mirror them, their body language, which once again gets into this. If somebody's standing there like this when you're talking to them, I was like, you mirror them. If they're talking real fast and you want to talk real fast, you start talking real slowly. And I have had the hardest time. I always forget that. So now the last thing I do is look in the mirror, and there's that thing saying mirror and mimic. So I remember the first thing I do is get in there. It's really unique, especially when they're sitting down. I mean, just holding your hands the same way. I mean, if they're sitting like that, sitting right across them, subconsciously they feel more comfortable with you. If you're talking like them, they're patterned. They're talking fast, they're talking slow, you're talking slow. It just becomes, it's crazy, but it says it in the book too. I went through bold. Did anyone go through bold yet?
I think it's coming up for us.
Okay.
I
Highly recommended. I went through it, and I probably will go through it again. I go to a lot of classes as top producing agents. One constant, they all go through bold several times. Okay, but one of the things is that that's why I get right on time. That's why instead of that window where, hey, I'm okay, now I'm there specifically on time for the fact when I get there. Once again, another crazy thing that I do, I don't ring the bell. Salespeople ring bells, strangers ring bells, friends knock. I knock. Automatically it starts to be warm from the get-go. But I knock on the door, they answer the door, and the first thing I say is, I'm Jim DiMora, Keller Williams Realty. We have an appointment at 1 o'clock, and it's 1 o'clock. So what did I just tell them? I do what I say I'm going to do. And there's a rhyme and a reason too. When you knock on it, now you're going to want to take a step back, because if you're in their face, they're going to feel intimidated. Okay, so There's a lot of little crazy things that I do, but it's like automatic. It's automatic. That's what I'm saying. This business, it's the same things over and over and over. So marketing plan, know your marketing plan, know everything. So you get in front of them, it's just a lot more comfortable. You know, a lot of people, you know, when I first started, I was nervous going over to their house, and I'm thinking to myself, they got to be nervous. They're inviting a stranger into the house, and they don't know. We know what we're going to say. You know, we know the questions we're going to ask. Okay. So, you know, so we're at the appointment. And actually, you know what? I'll take this back. Getting into the pre-listing package, which is the class we're teaching. You know, a lot of people going back to this, take down their email address, and obviously you have their address, dropping off some kind of propaganda on yourself, okay, and your company. Now, I know when you're newer, you know, it's tough. What do I say? What do I do with that? And I was actually asked this question. I was on a panel with Mike Perna, and they asked, you know, I'm new. How did you know? What do you say when someone says, "How long have you been in the business?" And I forget what Mike said. Mike said something crazy. I think he said, "I've been in real estate my whole life," meaning that he lived in a house his whole life. That's one way to do it, and then go on to the next. I forget what I said, but I remember that night, I couldn't sleep. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I said, because when someone asks me something, I want to be able to give them a question. I was kind of thinking back when I first started. And my thought process was, and I actually went, people were in the class, I actually went and found them, and I said, this is the real answer, okay? And what it was is, be prepared. Be 100% prepared for it, whether it's showing a house or a listing appointment. And that will probably 99% of the times overcome it. I'll paint a picture for you here. You go to show a house. Somebody calls and says, I want to see a house on ABC Street, you know, 1 o'clock, okay? 1 o'clock tomorrow, okay? Set the appointment, okay? Get on the computer, pull up what's active in there, what's pending, what's sold. Maybe print out the comps, okay? They want to see it at 1 o'clock. You get there at 12:30. Make the appointment from 12:30 to 1:30. You get there early. If you've ever been to an appointment late showing a house, and now the buyers are there, and now you're trying to crack the code to get into the lockbox, and you're trying to build rapport with them while you're trying to do this, and damn, you can't get in. And then you walk in and you're fumbling, trying to find lights, and they say, geez, the basement finished. I don't know. You know, how many bedrooms does it have? I know it's got a couple bathrooms. You know, if you got there a half hour early, 20 minutes early, opened up the door, went in, turned on all the lights, walked the house. Okay, now you meet them, the door's open, unlocked, you shake their hand. I'm Jim DiMora, Keller Williams. Hey, what else is available here? Well, there's another house right at the street, 2,200 square feet, first floor master. Well, it's backing up to a main road. Okay. Well, how about this one? How many bedrooms is it? 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. The basement finished beautiful. They got Berber carpet. There's a wet bar down there. There's a theater room. Are they going to ask me if I'm new? They're not going to ask me if I'm new. What's been selling in this sale? Well, there's been 3 sales in the last 2 months. Knowledge. You know. They're not going to say how long you've been doing this. I mean, guaranteed, if someone wanted to see a house in you know, Sterling Heights or somewhere out there, and I'm late for it, okay? And geez, what's the school district? How many bedrooms? I mean, they're going to ask me if I'm new. But it's all knowledge.
It's okay.
Knowledge.
It's okay.
So, once again, getting back to the pre-CMA form. Not the pre-CMA form, but the pre-listing package. So, once you set the appointment, okay, and usually what I tell them is I'm going to need a couple days to get ready for it. Now, after talking to them, I mean, if they're hot and heavy and want to go, I mean, I'll speed it up if I feel they're going to sign. Okay. One of the other ways, and kind of backtracking here, if questions that I ask, if you know, going back to, are you interviewing other agents? Sometimes I'll ask them, you know, should I bring a lockbox? Are you be ready for pictures? I'm politely waiting. I'm going to get a response. Oh, whoa, we're interviewing other people. So without asking, I've asked, okay? If they say, yeah, please bring your camera, we'll have a key ready for you, boy, that one's ready to go, you know? That one's ready to go. If I get that, and once again, reading body language, if they're ready to sign, you sign. Going through a listing presentation, if they're ready to go, you sign. You can only screw it up from there, okay? Going back to Ben Kenny and Family Reunion. I don't know if you went to that class, I agree, but.
Yeah, I got pictures of it on my thing, on my
Okay.
phone, because it looked like a rock concert.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's that many people in the class. I mean, that is a whole auditorium, standing room only, people on the wall. And this is just KW.
I videoed the whole thing, because there's so many people trying to do this, and there's so much content that I said, you know what? And I wrote down a couple things. I've been to a lot of classes, there's so much content being thrown at you, you'll get burned out. And when something that I know I'm gonna implement, I know I'm gonna use, I'll write it down. One of the things I could probably pull on my iPad was going on a listing presentation, which when he said it, I said to myself, I'm not gonna use that, because I like to go through my listing presentation, okay? For two reasons. First off, I'm going up against somebody else, okay? But ultimately, if it doesn't sell, I don't want that seller to say, what are you doing to sell it? I've gone through it, you know, my marketing plan works. But since I've come back from Family Reunion twice, I've done this, and both times it worked. Now, reading their body language, these people were very, very timid, okay? So I knew it was almost like, whatever we're saying, we're doing. One was a house that I knew priced appropriately was gonna have multi-offers, and one was a condo, and I knew priced appropriately was gonna have multi-offers. So I went through the whole building report, walking around with them, sat down at the kitchen table, and I just looked at them and I said, look, before we start signing papers, do we need to talk about anything besides price? And we got ready to price and they signed. So what did I say? Is you know, we're gonna be signing paper, we're signing it. Besides price, do we need to talk about anything? Now, if they said, whoa, we're interviewing somebody else, well then I should go with my marketing plan then. It kind of gives me that step back, okay? I will use that periodically, but I think I like to use my listing presentation, especially once the market shifts back to wanting to warrant price adjustments down. Look, I'm doing this, and this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're really not testing my marketing plan. My marketing plan works. We're testing your price in today's market, and it's not working. Okay, so put it back on that. And if you don't tell them what you're doing, you know, then I'm not doing anything. You know? So, but some of these put in the right situation where you know it's going to sell quick. What a quick listing appointment. I mean, I got home, my wife said, geez, they went bad. I said, no, they signed. And the price we wanted at the commission and everything else was where it needed to be. But, you know, once again, reading people going on appointments and then going back to the first of this class, that, you know, it's all about lead generating. The more listing appointments you get, you know, you're not going to get each and every one of them. There's ones that you can't control. You know, the crotchety guy, you're not going to control him. There are ones, as long as you control as much as you want, if you're hitting, you know, 70%, 80%, whatever it ends up being, and the more you fine tune it, the better. You know, it's like golf or baseball. The more you practice, the more you're going to have a better hitting ratio. Okay, so going back to the pre-listing. So once again, a couple days prior, some of the things that you can put in your packet. Office stats. I mean, our office stats are amazing. The amount of agents, the amount of homes we sell. These are stats that you can get from Mike Sheback, or you know, they'll get you. You know, I actually went in. There's all sorts of different graphs and different things you can do. Okay, from what our office does, but I'm sure they're making real pretty ones. So ask them.
Why don't you get off the MLS?
Off the MLS.
You can get what you just told
okay.
off of real comp under stats.
I know Mike's been doing a bunch of different things.
It's under stats and real
Okay,
comp.
perfect. And then not only locally our office, but globally, our offices, our Keller Williams is growing like you would believe. I mean, globally, not just nationally. We are the largest real estate company in the world. So I mean, that's something to put in there. You're part of it. Testimonials, once again, going back to bold. I put together a sheet of testimonials on our postcards. You'll see there's only 3 agents. Jim DiMora had the best marketing plan and track record of all 3. I definitely made the right choice, would refer him to anybody thinking of selling a home. Do you know who wrote that?
You did, and she okayed it, or he okayed it?
I asked the seller, I said, would you mind writing a referral for me? And they said, yeah. I said, well, I tell you what, how about if I write it? Is that okay? And, you know, as long as I get your okay. Yeah, now I can write there, Jim DiMora walked on water.
Wouldn't use anyone else ever.
The funny thing is that I keep putting there, you know, I would refer him, I would refer him. You know, you're sending these things out or in a pre-listing package, and people mentally, they're thinking, geez, these people would refer him, so.
They trust him. Trust.
Exactly. I've had people call me from Geographic Farms, and I said, how'd you get my name? And, oh, you know, I was referred to you. Now I gotta watch it, because I always ask, you know, who was it? Because I want to thank them. Keep
Right.
coming, please. But sometimes they're like, well, I think it was my, and then I try and change the subject, because
you realize
this is, yeah, they don't know anybody.
Right.
They
They don't
just
know
got the
the
referral
person.
from me. It's a third-party endorsement, okay? So ask your clients, and a lot of this too, you know, as you keep adding to it, as you sell more homes, you keep adding to it. But this is a whole page of referrals, you know? Novi resident, Northville resident, whatever it ends up being, okay? Different fluff on myself, different records, but any classes, actually I have in mind, any classes that you take, you went through Ignite, put that in there, make it sound really, you know, everything, you know, continuing ed, everything, just add it, and if you word it properly, boy, it's gonna be real impressive. You start off with your schooling and you know, wherever you went, high school, college, you know, any type of marketing, geez, you're a bold graduate, you know, and I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can put in there, just keep adding it and adding it, okay? Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, 2 things. Pre-listing packet, we used to do them all the time.
Yeah.
And then as we started getting more and more busy, it's things that are falling between the cracks, okay, for myself. Now that I have another assistant, this is something 100% we're gonna get back into doing. As I started to, it's funny because when you teach a class, it seems like you learn a lot. And what I remember we used to do, it really helped out, especially when you're going against other people. You know, as agents get bigger, you know, Mike Burton and Mark Z, you know, they're not delivering, you know, a pre-listing packet. The way that I've always done is 2 things. If they're in my geographic farm, I used to mentally say, look, this is my pre-listing. They're getting my credentials already, okay? And then as emails started to become more and more popular, we would get their email address and then we would send them credentials, kind of a lazy way of doing it.
So your preferred way is to mail it?
No, well, we want to make sure that they get like a just sold card, okay?
Is that handwritten or is that on like a pre-printed label?
Pre-print, yeah. If they're not in my geographic farm, if they're in my geographic farm, they're getting it. The email, we send out just sold emails of our property that goes to a link to a virtual tour to our website. But, you know, I'll go into my archive and just send them one so they get something. And on it, it'll be stats on the company, stats on myself, okay?
So every single just sold, every single sale?
Not every sold, like maybe a recent one, or maybe one like their house. If it's a $700,000 house, if it's a $60,000 condo, we do that. So they understand we're doing this for everything.
Your pre-listing packet, I don't know if I was outside or not, but do you email it to them, or do you in a PDF, or do you like drop it off? Or?
Well, we used to drop it off. And I think that's probably the most effective, and that's what KW does. Now, I'm going to tell you now, and once again, after doing this, and I started thinking that when we did it, we were very successful with it. Now, on one side of it, we've got all the fluff on Keller Williams, all the fluff on the DiMora team. Okay, maybe a sample.
Yeah, marketing piece.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe like a sample. That's one of those. Goes back. Info box sheet.
Yep.
So they can kind of see.
Jim, do you like doing the info box sheets as opposed to, or how do you compare that to the text? We capture things, so you actually get the people's input.
I'll answer it this way. How many info, you see more text, you see more 800 numbers?
Right.
okay?
So you like the old school way.
So what I always say on my listing presentation is that a lot of people don't do these. Why? Because it costs money and it's effort, okay? But I'll tell you right now that these work.
Big
And I get a
flyer.
lot- Yeah.
Yeah,
I always
I
tell the
agree.
sellers, I get a lot of calls from them. I always tell them this, the box holds 75, I'm gonna give you 150. We'll put 75 out there, let your neighbors get all the first 75. And they're
I'm-
laughing at that point, because they've taken them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I say, the reason we don't take down a lot of them, because if we get rid of that snow and then we need to come take a new photo, we want it to always seem, you know.
Fresh.
Here's reality. When you get a listing, you wanna leverage that listing to more listings and more buyers, okay? Example, I just listed a property on 9 Mile. I sold a property on 9 Mile last year. When I went on the listing appointment, she had the info box sheet from the people next door, and she said, I love the way you did that. With the QR reader, it's a piece that, if you're in a neighborhood, and right now the market's pretty fast, okay? But if we switch back to a normal market where properties are, 60, 90 days on the market, normal market, yeah, and expires become more, more commonplace.
I'll be looking for other work.
If there's a house in the sale that didn't sell, and here's mine with the sold sign on it with an info box sheet, why did that house sell? Well, it must have been because of this thing. It's doing a lot of little things that, I pick up a lot of buyers, pick up a lot of sellers with that. So, it works
And they
out
have
really
something physical in their hands.
100%, yes. And understand too, when I'm on a listing appointment, when I find out, let's say, I find out that I'm going up against 2 other agents. They say, oh, I'm interviewing 3 people, I just want to let you know that. I say, perfect, that's great, I understand, they come across this quite a bit. Let me ask you this, you don't need to tell me their names. What companies are they with? And usually they go, Keller Williams, Baker, Remax, you'll never see Keller Williams. They go to different companies. And as soon as I hear that, I'm like, fantastic.
Is this sold?
That one, yeah.
Oh.
And just appraised, not the appraiser there.
You should be passing out ones that aren't sold.
Oh.
You should be passing out ones that aren't sold.
Well, if you look at it, if you look at the back of it,
It's askew.
yeah, so I'm giving you a second.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm sorry, what was it?
I got you off track.
Saying you met the appraiser.
Oh, not the appraiser, but before that.
Not competing against KW.
Oh, right,
Yes.
KW agents. When I hear that, I know going on the appointment, because I consider a listing appointment like a balance, a scale, okay? And I'm always trying to do something, like info box sheets. Agents don't do those, so I do them a little bit different. When I go on a listing appointment against other companies, the first probably 10 minutes, I talk about Keller Williams, first off being the largest company in the world, okay? Second off, I talk about how we give back to the community, with Red Day, or with KW Cares. For instance, when Katrina hit, National Board of Realtors raised $1.2 million. Keller Williams raised $3.2 million. Keller Williams alone to get down there and help them out. Now that we took it a step further, through KW Cares, they organized in every single office in the United States. We lost a huge office down there. It was destroyed. And there was like 300 agents or something crazy down there. So what did we do? In Northville, we adopted a lady. And we had a 50-50 raffle. We gave her all the money. We generated money to buy her a laptop. Gave her the laptop. We kept generating money every week for her. Okay. I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but Keller Williams in Oklahoma City, they have 3 trailers, trucks full of water, food, blankets, provisions. That if there's an earthquake, if there's a tornado, if there's another Katrina, guess what? They're dispatched immediately to these. It's a great company to be with. You start talking to, especially the wife. They're tugging on our heartstrings. I'm with Keller. Now all of a sudden they want to go with the Keller Williams agent because of this. Or, geez, we all put a sign in the yard. We're all going to put it down in the MLS. We're going to do a feature sheet. Geez, KW Cares. And now they're helping out the community. It's just something. And reading body language. I start talking about KW Cares, and I'll slow it down. people, you feel them like they're engaging with you, slow the listing appointment down and concentrate on that. You get into a part of marketing that they're not looking, okay,
Speak it up.
let's go. You know, I like the touchy-feely things because I put that in front of them. They're selling themselves when they're looking, oh, wow. They pull out their phone and do the QR reader, and then they start doing the virtual tour. They're selling themselves on me at that point. Let them do it. They say they want to sign, drop everything, start signing. Don't say another word. You're going to mess it up.
The QR reader, is that to your website or that specifically for that listing?
Yeah,
The QR reader?
it's to that listing.
Yeah, for that one. Now, the nice thing about Keller Williams, we negotiated with RealBiz 360. And I'm going to defer everyone to my assistant if anyone has any questions, but on my office bill, it's $10 a month for if you've got 100 listings or you've got whatever. But once you generate it, okay, then it self-generates the QR reader. Okay?
What is it called again?
It's RealBiz. Yeah, it's through our company. To do a virtual tour, you go to another company for them to take pictures and do all that. You're probably what, 150, 200?
It's 200
Yeah,
plus.
200 plus. Learn from me. I went on a listing appointment and I explained to them, you know, we come out with the camera, we take all the nice photos, we do the virtual tour, yada, yada, yada. I lost an appointment because the people said, I'm gonna have a professional person come in and we're gonna do. Okay, so what did I do on the next appointment? Well, this is what I do. First off, the professional photos, they look like glamour shots. Some of these houses, it's so doctored up that it's almost like you get in the house, you're like, what is this?
The angles are bad. They're like stretched.
Wide angle lenses.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
warm.
So
They don't look warm.
this is what I tell them now. I said, look, if you want to have the professional person, have the professional ready to go, we'll do that route. But what I've found is that when I come through with the same exact camera as a professional, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on that crown molding, that name off all stuff. The crown molding, we're going to zoom in on that because that's an update or upgrade to show the value. I'm going to take pictures from like the kitchen sink looking outside. Because a lot of times people, what are you looking at? Can you see the kids out there? Okay? And from different angles. And I'm going to take probably 200-300 photos. I'm bound to hit a couple really good ones. Okay? And then we put it in the bath. And these professional ones are so doctored, it looks like glamour shots. Like, you know, some of these agents that are 80 and it's a high school picture. We don't want them to be oversold on the property. We'd rather have them look better when they get in. So, but that being said, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you want me to do the professional, I'll do it. I sold 110 homes last year times $200. Ouch. Ouch. But I don't want to lose a listing, so I give them the opportunity. And if you say it that way, then they're like, oh yeah, we'd rather have you come.
But even at a certain price point, you don't like.
I offer it. And then I explain to them too that, you know, those people, they have the photographer come out that day. If it's cloudy in Michigan, if it's snowing in Michigan, they're getting a bad picture.
No matter
Me,
what.
I'm taking pictures, but as soon as that sun comes out, we're gonna run out there because we want that blue sky in the background.
I
Make
agree
your
with
house
that
pop.
part, absolutely.
As soon as that snow melts, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're coming out taking a brand new photo. We're getting rid of everything, putting up brand new. Where the professional, we've got to do that weeks in advance to do it. But if you want me to do it, I'll do it. So once again, I don't want to lose a listing for $200, but I certainly don't want to do that times 10, 20, 30, 50. And that is $10 a month is cheap. And then you could put it on Facebook, Google+.
Do you just provide them your picks and?
No, my assistant just puts them in the RealBiz. She's got the program. So if anyone wants to know how to do it, if they won't teach it, you know, one day, my assistant, you guys can come in and watch her do one. I think I got like 3 hitting this week, a couple next week. So you want to look over her shoulder, she'll explain to you how she sizes them. But it's very strong on listing plans. It's very strong.
Have you ever used the Planomatic?
I honestly, yes. Is that the one that came in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Matter of fact, I bought.
It's expensive,
It's expensive.
but I mean, don't you think it's pretty good? Pretty.
It came out on a cloudy day. The photographer was an hour and a half late.
Oh, shit.
I was at the
So
house.
you're not a fan?
No, yeah, you can tell.
That wastes so much time.
It did do what it was supposed to do. I gave them, You know, but once again, $200.
They're more than that. They're way more than
Yeah, I don't know. At some point, once again, I learned that I don't want to lose one. I'll do it, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. You want to do it? Okay, do it. It's done. Probably 1 out of 40, I'm averaging. You know? So, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of money that's being put out.
22 grand.
Do you have an assistant go out and take the photos?
that. He does.
I do.
You have you pick them or someone else takes them?
I do. I primarily.
Yeah, because he's good at it.
North Novi, I come out with the same camera. I zoom in on.
He knows what he wants.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
we've
the same
got-
way.
I take them. I try to get the biggest possible room from all sorts of different. And honestly, I'll come back with literally 250, 300 photos, and accidentally I'll hit a couple good ones.
Yeah.
You know, the more content you put up on our website, the more.
It also gives you options, like if it does linger on the market, you can change them up.
100%, yes. And I mean, the other thing too, is I explain to people, you know, go onto other people's websites and see if they're advertising. When I'm going up against somebody else, I tell them, go on their websites, find their listings, see how they're advertising. Do they have a virtual tool? Is there photos? Is there a write-up? Is there a virtual feature sheet? Is there a seller's disclosure, lead-based pay? Is there a list of updates and upgrades?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a map? If there isn't, guess what? They're not gonna do it for yours. Go to my website. What am I'm big now. I know what mine does. And I tell my assistants when I come back, even last year, the year before, when the market was flying, I come back to the listing and say, this thing's gonna sell. Actually, I got the buyer, it's probably gonna sell before you list it. I want to do all this. I want all the feature sheets, the info boxes. I want everything.
Because you're trying to leverage the listing.
It's not this one, it's for the next one,
Yeah.
the neighbors and the neighbors. Okay, that's what it's for. The more content you throw on your website, it'll hit you on the SEO, search engine optimization. It's gonna help you get up there. Let's put it on Facebook. Let's let everybody know that I sold a house. When you sell a house, you can sell it without putting a sign on the ground, just put it on the MLS. Nobody knows about it.
Secret agent.
Yeah, secret agent, exactly. We want to let everybody know. Matter of fact, we just designed a postcard that I sold 6 homes in one subdivision. I'm putting them all on one and I'm sending it out. I have a specific marketing plan designed for your subdivision. Call me to find out what it is.
What's up? So I know not to bother.
Northville Hills.
Oh, nice.
Northville Hills. I sold several in the Woodlands too, so we got another one coming up in there.
Yeah.
So, but you know, and here's reality too with farms. When you get to that point, come talk to me. Come talk to Mike. We do it different. Mike just, you know, where's he mail? Michigan. You know?
Southeast Michigan is
Yeah.
his farm.
Yeah, I try and stay specific,
No, I don't.
and once again, get you know, a little bit more specific to it. But, you know, I've been to classes that Mike's been teaching on panels, and he says, you know what, if there's an agent there dominating, don't go in there. I look at it completely opposite. If someone's in there dominating, go in there. You're probably gonna be the only
one, right.
And guess what? Either they're gonna listen with this person, they love that person,
Or they may
hate
not
that
like
person.
them.
Yeah, it's them
They
or
like-
anybody else. They go, oh, here's the other person. I mean, it's, yeah, you know, it's like listing presentations. It's like, you know, you gotta make yours look better. There's always one way to work.
One thing that's so interesting when you're talking about body language and you know, knocking on the door and stepping back and not intimidating. As a woman, I never worry about intimidating people. Do you know, like that's a
I do.
quality that I don't have to
When I
worry
door
about.
knock, I get off the porch.
You do and you don't even know it. You ever talk to somebody where they're looking away, they can't make eye contact? They're intimidated. I mean, you're showing up to the door, you know,
Yeah.
successful agent, sells houses, and guess what? They're intimidated. You know what you're gonna say. They have no idea.
Right.
That's
I
fine.
just haven't had that experience before where I'm like uber thinking, oh, I might have, and I think it's maybe a male-female thing, partly. And I'm just pointing that out, but that's just so interesting. And then when you're talking about being like the power agent in a neighborhood, I have had, you know, won a listing before, and I had all of this Uber agents that I was up against, and it was simply because they were probably intimidated by the other people.
Yeah,
So it's just interesting.
or they've heard, you know, in reality, you know, you do a transaction and something weird might happen out of your control.
Right.
Okay, then all of a sudden you're the SOB. Or the other agent says, the reason this happens is because of the other agent.
Yeah, they
You're an
point.
SOB. So now this person, that person's an SOB. Or you list a property in a
Well,
subdivision.
Volume. You're
These-
bound to eventually. Doing
Exactly.
volume, you're eventually
It's
gonna.
gonna happen. Or you might sell a house on the low side, market value is 400, and you sell it at 400, market value, it doesn't appraise. Say it sells for 390, and they think you're giving away houses, so you're an SOB. I mean, it's, you have to,
Uh-huh.
you have to have very thick skin in this business and don't listen to what people say. That's why, I mean, when I go to list appointment, it's funny. I mean, when I get home, my wife, she doesn't know if I got it or didn't get it, and my,
Nice.
I
You're
don't,
used to it now.
I have the weirdest things happen, and that's the entertaining part to me. Because honestly, this becomes very, very
Predictable.
very predictable, very cookie cutter. I've gone on 4 listing appointments in a day before, and the last one at night is very hard to get
Energy up.
excited.
Your energy.
And you know, okay, first thing we're gonna do is put us, and it's almost like these people have been with me all day long.
Yeah.
You know, it's a long, first thing we're gonna do is this. I mean, that's, once again, that's, you know, for the longest time, I had my advisor, you know, be excited. Get there and be, when the market was horrible, there's for sale, and there's foreclosures and short sales. Boy, I used to show up appointments and they're like, what do you want? Yeah, well, I don't care what the market is. I'm gonna do everything I said I'm gonna do and then let the chips fly where they are. But one of the things that I noticed here, I picked and choose out of this book, but it asks, tell me how much you owe on the property. Where is it?
How much you what?
Oh,
How much is owed on the property?
No, okay.
Oh, how much do you owe on, okay, exactly, how much do you owe on the property? You know what? You could ask it, I don't care. If they're upside down, guess what? They need to sell, then let's talk.
Short term. Yeah, but that's because you're good at that.
I can't control that, I can't control what they owe. Okay?
but do you ask so you can do a seller's net sheet? And is that something you normally present?
I do a seller's net sheet, obviously, that's something too that everyone should know how to do, because they're gonna ask, okay? I usually don't, I usually tell them they can fill in that number. Now, here's all the costs. When I fill out the net proceed sheet, when I fill it out, I turn around and I'll read it off to them. I can't read it upside down. Why not? Because I don't want them to look at the marketing fee and see 6%. Oof. So all included in your sales, you know, your state transfer tax, revenue stamps, marketing fee, you know, title, home warranty if you need it. So I list everything off. That all clumps up to this number. Instead of marketing fee, you know, so anyway, and then they can fill in the blank. And in all fairness too, a lot of times they don't know, they see their statement, but that's not interest incurred. So I usually tell them, call them and say, if I was paying it off today or next month, what does that number look like? Okay, so that's where we're at. So anyway, marketing, everyone wants a copy of my.
You figure out their tax prorations and all that?
Usually what I do.
Just their title?
Usually with the tax prorations and homeowners association, I always tell them, look, in Michigan you pay tax in advance, as long as you pay them, you're gonna get money back. And I'd rather have the numbers that you're getting a little bit more than less.
So you just leave it up?
Yeah, I leave it out. I leave it out, so the numbers are gonna be a little bit north, how much, we don't know.
But you include like the cost of title?
Yep, I have the title thing right in my
Yeah.
briefcase, it'll tell them exactly how much, everything, but I like to read it off and then say all included, that's what the cost is. So, I know it's not a marketing plan class, but I'm more than happy to, this is the one that's in my briefcase. What I would suggest, if you don't have a marketing plan, to put one together and just make it, and it may be an iPad or a laptop, if you feel comfortable with that, do it. You need to feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable because if it's not working right or I got bad connection.
Yeah, every
or,
single time.
Usually.
Can't get on their Wi-Fi, or
Yeah.
can't get on your Wi-Fi.
You know, once again, what I do, 2 things is,
Thank you very much.
when I get there early, I usually pull up my iPad. It's wireless, see how it's running, and then I'll go to the pages that I want, okay? But usually prior is, if I'm interviewing against somebody else, I will tell them, please go to my website, go to theirs. You know, find their, you know, I design my website to actually do that. I tell them, find their listings. I have a button up in the upper right-hand corner that says the DiMora team's listings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you just go over to it, it turns red. So they click on it, there's all my listings. And each and every one of them is gonna have a ton of photos, layout, survey,
long?
energy information.
Have you had that website in that format?
I've had that website for probably 5 years, just adding stuff to it. It's through DACNO, if anyone wants to know. Actually, I think they have a special going right now.
DACNO?
DACNO. If you go to my website at the very bottom, you click on it, it takes you right to their website. They have a special going right now, because DACNO is very unique. And I got it, and then like Perna got it, and then Ken Posek got it. Okay. It's a very, it's a website that you can have them do everything, pay them to do it, or they give you a template and you add specific stuff.
A la carte.
Yeah, exactly. However you want to do it, but they have specials going right now. I think it's $400 plus then you get a service fee, but then you can put all yours up there. Very specific.
So you don't bother with that, any of the e-agency, Keller Williams websites, because they're kind of junky.
We have we have that, but honestly, I like
You
to be.
divert to your main website.
Yeah.
Well, you don't get any SEO on the e-agency or the e-edge one.
Yeah, and I like to be, once again, it's almost like when the pack's going this way, I like to be different.
And your blog is on your website?
Yeah, yep, we blog, we have some of the blogs.
You have a gorgeous website.
Yeah, your website is,
The
It
bomb.
just changed 2 days ago.
I think I.
Oh, I haven't seen it that soon. Is it completely different?
Did you send out an email to all of us about a new listing or something? Because I remember
No.
clicking something and going to it.
We just listed something, so any email
I
address
think
we ever
they
get.
Did it just come?
Yeah.
Well, maybe
So
it did.
you probably did get something?
It's cleaner, it's less traditional looking and a little more contemporary looking.
Yes, yes. And the reason we did that is because Google is constantly changing their SEO criteria. And as of the 21st, which was 2 days ago, if you're not mobile friendly, they say you're not,
Yeah, they're gonna bump you down.
yeah, you're not compatible to mobile, and most people are doing mobile now, so you're irrelevant.
So that's why you did your change?
Yep.
So you're
But
mobile
mobile,
friendly.
it's so important.
It
Somebody's
is.
right in front of your thing, they want to see it, and you have a beautiful virtual tour with the
Yeah.
photos, so they can see it right there.
100%,
Yeah.
That's what we do, so yeah. But they're a great company, easy to work with. So
What's the name of it?
It's called DACNO.
DACNO.
DAKNO, I think.
Yep, DACNO.
Yeah.
If you go to our website, which is DiMora.com, does anyone want this?
I
No,
did-
but-
Yeah, I would like one. I like
So we go by Northville Homes, it's just the landing page, or is that?
We've got probably
Several.
80 URLs that point
You
directly.
bought them all?
Some of our farms, you'd be surprised, like one of my farms is Dunbarton Pines, I own DunbartonPines.com.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Nobody had that, so, but where does that go to? Northville Nolan Homes, okay, DiMora.com. You know, you can do things like, free CMA, Dunbarton Pines, and then now you can advertise it through maybe a postcard, and then see who came in through it. You know, we did that a couple of times, it worked very good, matter of fact, we're gonna try it again. It's almost like a stealth website, go to DunbartonPines.com to find out the value of your house.
Right.
Also, we get all these free market
It's
analysis.
a landing page, they don't realize that
But
they're
they
going
have to
into
put
more.
in their email in order to get
Well,
the
they-
CMA, right?
they
That's how
do.
you gather
They're
it.
starting to figure it out.
And a lot of times they'll do their name, sometimes they give the phone number. Even if they don't give the phone number, they give the address, they have to give that to get the CMA.
Right.
Reverse it through white pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what do? I call them up and say, hey, this is Jim DiMora, Keller Williams Realty. You just got on our website. Just a quick question, did you want a specific or general value of your house? Was it general? I'm going to throw everything at you. It's going to be hard to decipher. Specific one, I'm going to take down a little bit of information from your house.
Right,
And then I'm going to come out and walk and fine tune it. Oh, by the way, where would you go if you sold? Why do you
right.
want to know the value of your house? Oh, you refinancing? Okay, whatever it is. Okay, we got to sell. We got to sell in 6 months. Okay, well, I'll come out now, but these numbers are going to be different. How about if I follow up within a couple months? Okay, that's where we're right now. We're in the process of trying to figure out, because we're getting leads that are down the road. Now we're trying to figure out how to send a tickler file with them.
That's kind of tricky with some of the
Nurture, nurture.
databases. They aren't the best with that.
Yeah, we're putting together our own. We have an OSA now, outgoing salesperson, where she's calling subdivisions. Well, we're selling next month, or we're selling next year. And the funny thing is that, once again, I'm thinking I'm inventing the wheel, and I'm thinking she's gonna be calling, and these people are gonna wanna list now. Well, when I went to the panel in Family Reunion, they had a guy who had 6 OSAs, outgoing salespersons. And he says, when I hire a new one, the leads they get don't hit until 6 months. He's dead nuts on. He is dead nuts on. And then I started thinking, you know, because, oh, we're not selling now, but we're going to sell in 7 months or 8 months. So now I'm thinking to myself, because what a terrible feeling that was. Now I know there's a seller out there for 6, 7 months. You can't wave a stick without hitting a real estate agent.
Yeah.
He's going to be at the grocery store, and he's going to say, I'm thinking I'll sell my house, and 5 people behind him will be like, whoa, I'm an agent.
So you're gonna have to keep touching for the next 7 months.
Yeah, yeah. So what we're trying to put together dialogue, and my coach has been giving me some really good pointers where, you know, it's 5 months, oh, perfect, what a great amount of time. What we need to do is have Jim come out next week and walk the house with you and tell you what you need to do from now until 6 months. Oh, you're not putting it on for a year. Perfect. You need to have Jim come out, you know, a month, you need to come out. So, say, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna piggyback. One of my coaches had told me, when you're calling somebody and you don't feel you're gonna get a listing or whatever reason, he's like, if you don't answer their questions right away, because everybody has a list, they have a to-do list.
Right.
And if on the list is talking to a real estate agent, and you don't make an appointment with them, then they haven't finished, they haven't been able to cross it off their list. So if you don't get it, all they're gonna do is continue calling other people until that appointment's crossed off the list.
Yeah. Whatever it is, I mean, when you're on a listing appointment, if at the end of it, sometimes I say, geez, you know what, we want to sell, but we're not going to sell for a month. I got to paint the master bedroom, I got to put some molding in, I always want to.
You sign it now?
Yeah, pre-listed. Perfect, that's a month, great. That's exactly how much time I need. Let's get everything signed. This way I can hold you accountable, and hopefully there's a wife there, because she'll know that we need to put the husband on a timeline to hold him accountable.
It does work nicely.
Okay, and then I can come out and start taking photos, start making the list, so we're running 100%. Well, we need 2 months, perfect. It takes me 2 months to get us up.
Whatever you
You know,
have, that's what
for
we
sale
need.
by owner. Oh, I understand you want to go with for sale by owner, Mr. and Mrs. Bisbo. How long do you want to try that for? A month, perfect. This is what I've been telling them.
Are you going on Facebook?
No, I'm sorry.
You are.
I listed 2 for sale by owners this week. One 700 and one for just some Royal Crown, 475. I went on the appointment, and then they said, I need a month, okay? This is what I've been telling. Perfect, it takes me a month to do that. Let me help you out here, because you know, I went through this class called BOLD, and what they teach everybody is they're called for sale by owners. We call you FISBOs, by the way. I'll just lay it right out to them. You're a FISBO. You're going to get 1,000 people calling you. So how would you like to say this to them? And they're going to call you. Here's the dialogue. Mr. and Mrs. For Sale by Owner. I'm Jim DiMora with Keller Williams Realty. I noticed you're selling your house. Are you cooperating with brokers? You are? Perfect. Well, I tell you what, I work with a lot of buyers. Do you mind if I come out and walk the property with you? Guess what, Mr. and Mrs. For Sale by Owner? I don't have any buyers. I'm going to come out and build rapport with you, and I'm going to keep trying to solicit that listing, because chances are you're going to list with an agent within the first 2 weeks. So how would you like when you get that phone call to say, I've already listed with the DiMora team, and if you have a buyer, we've excluded you, so bring them on in. If not, I've listed, don't worry about it. They won't call you back. They thank me. I've got one that keeps sending me, and I said, look, if a buyer comes to you that doesn't know how to write up a purchase agreement, they're not going to let you write it up. Have them call me, and I'll represent them and bring you smoothly close.
So you would get 3% in that scenario within the fiscal period?
Well, it depends. I have kind of a formula, almost like a transaction coordinator. Rarely does that happen, but they the one for sale owner that I was working with, which they sold, she sent me 2 buyers, and somebody that had to sell their house first that couldn't buy. Gave me a listing appointment and 2 buyers. One I just closed on yesterday, and one that I'm showing that's very motivated.
And you never listed their house?
Never listed their house. And by the way, her mom has a condo to sell, which I'm listing next week. It's a contact sport. It's a contact sport. Just like going back to that listing appointment like that, could I have just said, yeah, everybody, yeah, you wasted my evening. No, I
Yeah.
made some lemonade,
Yeah,
I
take
walked
the
out
higher
of there, I
ground.
got a buyer, and I'm gonna get a couple listings. And I controlled what I could control, and at the end of the class, at the end of it, I did what I could do. I walked out of there fine.
Right, and you also you walked out of there at the beginning looking like a very nice guy, and that's what got you all that other business.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, same with, in one of the lessons that you have to, after the listing presentation, okay, I go on a listing presentation, if I don't get it, sometimes, you know, you try and close, and you can't, it'll get to the point where we're being confident. Is there something I can, you're happy with my marketing, you're happy with, you know, the numbers, you know, what's it gonna take for you to list with me today? If that doesn't work, then, you know, I understand, you're interviewing somebody else tonight, okay, I understand. I try and, you know, is there something I missed? I try and call them. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's just asking. I just listed an expireds right now between Perna and Glover, and so many people are calling expireds. You wouldn't believe it. I went on expired. She had mail like that. She interviewed 3 people, and she was going to interview 3 other people after me. Okay. And she, when I was there, she got 3 phone calls while I was there. All right. And guess what? I went over my marketing plan. Pricing. The other agents did not go. She goes, what would you price it at? And I pulled out a CMA that could choke a horse. The other agents didn't do a CMA. Like, and I said, well, do you really want to listen to these other 3 people? Well, I've got the appointment. Well, you want me to call them? You will? Yes, I will. I had to make 3 phone calls. 3 phone calls. The other people didn't ask that. The other ones didn't bring pricing. If she said, I want a list, where should I price it? They're going to be like, I got to go back to my office. What? Have it ready to go. Now, I'll tell you this too. When you do kind of close, how long is this going to take? Well, I've already pre-signed it. I've got everything all ready to go. Sometimes the sellers go, whoa, whoa, you thought you were just going to sign up? Well, out of respect for your time and my time, if I was to fill this out in front of you, it would take about an hour and a half to where my assistants do it, or I did it at the office, and it automatically moves it. Which is a lot of respect for your time and my time. Because you never want to assume that they're going to be signing, even though all my stuff's all highlighted with the sign. But I mean, that's, you know, there's little caveats that you really got landmines that you don't even think were landmines. And that's the thing. You're assuming that was going to sign? Anyway, going back to if you can't get them to sign, no, we have to sleep on it. Right, people say, you got to sleep on it. I always, when you interview the last person, tomorrow at 4 o'clock, perfect. Okay, great. I'll call them tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Put it right in my top producer game planner. It emails me, and I call them up. This is Jim DiMora, Keller Williams. Hey, we went over a lot yesterday. Do you have any questions? You do? Okay, answer the questions. You don't have any questions. Well, did you make your mind up yet? Make them say no to you. People hate to deliver bad news. They hate it. It's almost like when we do a transaction, and let's say the house doesn't appraise. Are you going to call that? Hey, let me call that seller right now. Hey, guess what? You're going to be like, geez, you know what? It's almost lunchtime. I'm going to go grab lunch, and then I got that thing to do, and then I'll go work out. And I'll call them tomorrow. It'll be a better time tomorrow. Good news, people. If the house appraised, you thought there was going to be an appraisal problem? Oh, great news with appraised. So call them up. Make them say no to you. You know. And sometimes too, it's, you know, have you made your mind up? No. Jesus, there's something that I can do to sway it. I just did that, the one on 9 Mile. I went up against a couple of people. The agent said he's going to do an open house day 1. If I do an open house day 1, will you list with me? Yeah. Are you home now? Great. Get a pen ready.
See in a few minutes.
Before someone else calls me.
Right.
And promises the first day open house.
Yeah.
Sign it off the to-do list.
There you go. There you go. Done.
Jim,
Done listening.
Do you like to get your signatures, hard signatures, or do you trust the e-signature thing? Like, oh, well, would you like me, I'll email over the
Exclusive right stuff.
listing packet so they can e-sign it? Or would you just get in your cart and drive over there and get their handwritten signatures?
I would set up an appointment to do it only because
Yeah, explain.
I want to put together a game plan with them.
Okay.
And I think at that point, you know, they're ready to go. I mean, then you're waiting for them.
I know.
Then you sit in your
They
computer,
could
hit
avoid
send
it.
and receive. or it went in their junk mail. No, I would set up an appointment and go out there and do it immediately. The other thing too, going back to pre-listing packages, we did all the fluff. We also would fill out all the paperwork, the listing paperwork, exclusive right to sell, highlight where they would have to sign. Okay? And
Filled out profile sheet?
Filled out profile
With your
sheet
description?
As much, not with the description,
Okay.
but as much as possible. Okay, maybe the legal description, whatever self-populates.
Yeah,
We're not
okay.
gonna know the appliances, the price, or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
Agency disclosure, all that, for your convenience, so you can review the forms. Sometimes that makes it easier when you go to sign stuff, because if you have any questions, now boom, 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 sign. But we've done this twice, where we showed up at the door, and they handed us the package.
They'd already signed it.
Signed it.
Yeah. That's nice.
That's a fast listing appointment.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
That's a gift.
yeah. Well, once it's a context board. The more people that you communicate with, because I'm going to tell you right now, reality is, I sell a lot of homes and we market a lot, but sometimes people don't have any idea, have no idea how long I've been in business, nothing. They're
No.
interviewing an agent
Thank
from
God.
Keller Williams.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, it's just being somewhere. It's like being in an open house. It's like, Floyd Wickman used to always say this. He was a cold calling teacher. He goes, being somewhere, even if you're not good, you're gonna sell. Meaning that if you ever gone into a Best Buy and bought a TV from a bad salesman, why? Because you had to buy a TV and there he was. I mean, you have the product.
Like Shivak told me when I very first started that 99% of this job is showing up.
Showing up. That is.
So I just show up every day.
Well, I put in there, I'm sure you've heard half of it's showing up.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so now you're at half. Now you show up, dressed up professionally, and you bathe, okay? and you're on time, and you got a CMA, and it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up. And now you're at, say, 80% of getting them. Okay, how many listings do you want? Now go on X amount of appointments. So going back to, it's all lead generating, okay? And then qualifying people. The longer you do it, the more questions in the dialogue that you use, you're going to be extracting questions, answers from them. Just had a conversation. But, what do you offer? What do you want to offer on this house? Well, try it. What do you want to offer? You're not making an offer. Why not?
And most of the time, when they say, that's what I have you here for, they have a number. Most of the time, and everybody I've dealt with, they always have a number. They're just trying the first person to, talk loses. So
Yeah, that's it. That's why we try and ask, my assistant asks, it's almost like having a third person. What do you think the house is worth? A lot of times you'll hear, that's why we're calling you in. Okay?
Probably yes.
But
I always go,
a true market analysis, one that's very thought out. The number will come to the surface, and then it makes our life easy. I mean, if you're not prepared, then you're guessing, you're overpricing or underpricing, and they're going to throw you out, or you're going to have an expired listing. But a true market analysis, I went on one last night, and the number was right there. Their house was in great shape, great condition. They warranted the high side. It is very specific what the high side was. And they said, well, can we go higher than that? And I said, well, let me ask you this. Take off your seller's hat, put on your buyer's hat. We just looked at this house, and you said you want to write an offer, and you said, let's look at the comps. Put it in front of them.
Let me grab my pen.
What would you offer? And then if they say, well, geez, that crown molding adds 40,000. Okay, so now pretend like you take off your buyer's hat and put on your appraiser's hat. Who would you appraise it for?
Right.
Make it simple. And sometimes human nature, sometimes you get somebody that says, geez, you know what? I know 10 houses identical to mine, just sold at 200,000, but I really need to go, or maybe 190, where the price should be 200,000. I really want to go 220 to test the market. Yeah, okay. How long do you want to test the market? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? Okay, good. Exclusive right to sell. If it doesn't sell in 2 weeks, it automatically gets dropped down to 200,000. Put it in front of them initially. They said it, put it in writing, because here's reality. learn from my mistake. They're gonna reduce it. 2 weeks goes, another 2 weeks. 2 weeks goes, another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks. Expires, agent lists it for 200, sells in 1 day.
And you're the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm the agent that can't sell a house.
Right.
Nothing worse than having a sign out there with no sold sign. So that's it. So once again, please follow up with them. I mean, this is the way, I don't take it angry. I spent, I talked to them, I got ready for the appointment, I went and sat with them legitimately for a 5-minute phone call. And I've heard, we listed with this, or they're calling me here, I listed with this. Oh, great, who'd you listen to? Oh, they're a good agent. Was there something they did that I missed for my own growth? And by the way, how long did you list for? 3 months. Okay, great. I'm sure that other agent's going to sell it. If he doesn't sell it in 2 months and in 2 weeks, do you mind if I call you? We're like vampires. If they say we can come in, we can come in. It doesn't matter if you're listed. What did I do? And typically you hear this too. That house that wanted to list for 225, well, we're listed it for 240 with this agent. Is it going to sell? No. Should I tell them off? No. They're going to, 3 months into it, they're going to price it right. Call me and off we go. If I have any buyers, I'll bring them in. Now that I've been in a beautiful house like Crown Molding, easy 40,000 more. I mean, look, be the good guy, be the professional, take the high road.
What kills me is when someone calls and says, "Oh, I can get you top dollar for this house," and they've never seen it at all.
Yeah. Some of these you gotta watch. I mean, sometimes what I'll do, if I find out at the appointment that there's going to be another appointment, oh, we're not signing anything today. We're interviewing Tom Smith tomorrow at 4. Well, perfect. So what I'm going to do is go over my marketing plan. Now that I've walked the house, and here I have a marketing in my briefcase. I'm walking it like this, and I can do it. I would say, now that I've walked the house, just like an appraiser, I've walked the house, I've made my notes. I'm going to go back to the office and crunch my numbers and give you a very specific number. So let me come in after time. So now what? I've put me at the end. Now what's it going to take for you to listen to me today? Puts me last. And they got to hear me because of the number. Oh, Tom just came out and gave you a number without walking it? Really? Vice versa, if they want to come back, oh, Tom's coming back tomorrow, and I already gave him the number. I say, well, geez, Tom doesn't have enough experience to come out and do it once then.
Spin.
Yeah, it's whatever, the grass is greener on our side. Whatever situation you get into. And if that works, fantastic. If not, then I go on another appointment. I mean, if you really think, if you run the numbers, every time we communicate with somebody and they bought a house through us, you will have Donald Trump's bank account. The numbers are staggering. You just can't let that. That's why I don't get married to the results. It just, you won't have the highs and lows. Concentrate on doing the tasks. Show up for an appointment. I went on a listing appointment, 5 people. 5 people.
Jeez.
And the one in front of me, now, I called them.
What are you going to throw anywhere? It's like auditions.
I sold 5 of them in the subdivision. One of the agents that I was interviewing against, I had no idea, called me up for why did that one sell this? You sold this one and this one. I went out and saw it. I said, what's going on? He goes, I got a listing appointment coming up. And he told me where it was. It was my listing appointment that day. And he was a half hour before me. They were only giving us a half hour. So what did I do? I called up the seller and I said, look, when's your last one? Can I come last? My appointment went 2 hours. I walked out of there with the paperwork signed. Now the guy in front of me, who's a huge agent, he didn't have a suit on. He thought he was just listing it. Didn't go over anything. I knocked on the door. He just got done building rapport with the people who sit down at the table. The seller came to the door and said, will you give him another 10 minutes? I said, sure. He walks out. I've got my briefcase full in a suit. And he's like, if I knew what was going up against you, I would have been prepared. I go prepared to everyone. Yeah. And if you have that mentality, it doesn't matter who's behind you or in front of you. Always be prepared for situations. So, anyway. So I think we skipped around a lot, pretty much.
is number 3 on your proven marketing plan, is that all of us?
All the boards,
Yeah, I'm saying like,
14,000 agents, yeah.
no, but I'm saying like, you're saying it goes into 10 multi-list boards. So when I list a home, does it go into 10 multi-list boards?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So it's,
It's syndicated, real-time syndicated, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
Could've said real
I get it. It looks
com-
beautiful.
That looks
I
impressive.
know it really does. I'm like, is mine doing that? I think mine's doing it.
If you just write real comp on there, they don't know what that is.
Well,
It's
yeah,
true.
Once again, you break it down.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and the same with the 34 internet sites, but it self-populates to over 300. But I always tell them, the reason I say 34, those are the ones we can manipulate, put the photos, virtual tours. You know, the other thing too, with Keller Williams, with that scale, the reason I left Coldwell Banker was because, you know, I get a listing, they maybe put their sign with the main number there, that goes into the floor agent, a new agent waiting for a call. Any of their website stuff goes to that agent. With Keller Williams, it's, you're interviewing me right now, I'm the only person you're gonna deal with, I'm the only person the buyers are gonna deal with from all the
Shine balls,
advertisements.
yeah.
It's your listings, your leads with Keller Williams,
Yeah.
which once you start leveraging that, once again, going to the scales.
And it's funny, that started to catch on a lot. A
Yeah.
lot of Americas, a lot of people like, oh, yeah, if you're listing, we got floor time, but if it's yours, we'll send it to you.
Yeah, but they don't have agreements with the companies that we have.
Yeah, that's,
Well,
yeah.
I'm just saying, it's the trend is following, you know, other companies are starting to do that now, so exactly what Keller been doing.
You know, and tell them, I always tell them, look, you know, you're interviewing me, I'm the only person you deal with. If you're interviewing another agent from any other one of these offices, you should be interviewing every single agent. And by the way, I'm sure there's some agents in there that aren't gonna be there next week, next month. Those are the people you're hiring.
That's
With me,
crazy.
it's me. Yeah, the
I
sign you
didn't
put in
realize.
there, you can have goes right to my cell phone.
Right.
My sign directly, goes right into my office, then gets forwarded right to my cell phone. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. Seller, when do homeowners or buyers look? Evenings, weekends. Offices aren't open evenings or weekends, late. So it goes right to me. I mean, once again, it's that scale that, you know, make it, if you're going up against other people. If not, you just, well, it's sign. Be done. So, pre-listing package, my other assistant is getting back tomorrow. I am going to be compiling mine, so if you guys want to keep your head in my office sometime next week, I'll share exactly what we're coming up with. And a lot of it's going to be fluff on the office. I understand, we start with the office and then go to ourselves. And in all fairness, you've got the support of the office, you've got, you know, the numbers of the office, you know.
I'm just curious, just the packaging of it, are you just putting it in a folder?
Yeah.
Separate sheets of paper, or are you creating?
You can do it however you want, but one of these, okay? And
Got
then
that.
obviously fluff, and then, you know, marketing plan. I mean, this is, in all fairness, this is a pre-listing package. There's my marketing plan,
Right.
exactly what you have. And then, you know, listing agreements, seller's disclosure, lead days paying, mortgage payoffs, you know, all the information. The other things you can put in there too is that Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we need these information for helping marketing it. Updates, upgrades, anything you like about the homes, energy information, gas, electric, water. A lot of times the buyers want to know what does it cost to run the home. Survey if you have it. A lot of times they want to know lot lines.
They've got a floor plan.
Yeah, if you show up and they have all that on the table, guess
Slammed
what?
on.
You're signing papers. You're signing papers. Do you have any questions on the contract? You did? Okay, you did? Okay, well, let's start signing. Or authorizing is the software. Authorize here. So,
You have 2 phone numbers on your card,
I do.
huh?
Eventually they both go to my cell phone.
On the front of the card,
That's my cell phone, and then this is Christine's. So if somebody gets that, what is she doing? She's sitting at her desk all day long with this thing, okay?
Okay.
If at 5 o'clock when she goes home, or 4:30, whatever time it is, it goes to my cell phone.
So-
And I have the same form.
so this phone no longer is her phone after 5 p.m.
Yeah, it goes right to it gets forwarded to my cell phone.
So that's like her desk phone.
Yep, that's her,
So
that's her
that's her
direct.
desk, and then that goes to you there.
Yeah, I'd rather, marketing goes to her, and I just look at my data planner, and she'll have me a package with one of these, the history of it, the public record,
Right.
Northbrook, whatever it ends up being with all this. And then special notes too, saying, you know, the people thought it's worth this, or geez, I asked about updates and the husband redid the bathroom himself. So, I mean, I'm looking at that, once again, I get there early, I need to talk about the bathroom. You know, when I used to work with my brother, he used to send me on appointments, you know, some of the questions he would ask the people, you know, what's important to you for a real estate agent? Same with me, sometimes when I go on an appointment, oh, you're interviewing other agents, what's important to you in a real estate agent? What am I really saying? What do you want me to tell you? You want someone to communicate with you every week. Well, what am I gonna do? I put you on my day planner, a specific day and time for me to call you. You know, open houses, you want one a month, well, at least we do one a month. Okay, whatever they want. Same with expired listings. Why do you think the house didn't sell? I listed a ton of, and this is something where, you know, your bigger agents, they don't have the time to go run over to expireds. That's all I did when I started. It expired, I'd call them up, hey, your home expired? Are you thinking of relisting? And then, well, I tell you what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, how about if you're gonna be home in the next hour? I'm gonna drop off a package on my company and myself, and if you wanna interview me, you can call me. Is it okay if I drop it off? Yeah. They think I'm just dropping it off. Knock on the door. I spoke to you an hour ago. Meanwhile, I've got the MLS ticket. I can do a CMA. I can fill out all the listing paperwork. I go over to the house. Hey, as long as I'm here, I tell you what, do you mind if I take a tour of your house? I work with a lot of buyers. Why do you think the house didn't sell? Oh, that SOB, you never did an open house. That SOB, you never called me. That SOB, you never put in a virtual tour. Well, I tell you what, as long as I'm here, you want me to show you how I sell homes? Guess what I'm going to talk about? Those three things. That's what I specialize in.
Are you using Vulcan, Bressers, White Pages?
For expires, would you RedX?
You're using RedX. And is that, how are you feeling about the success of those numbers?
RedX right now, everyone's calling. My assistant's calling. She's doing good. Where I'm having success is that through RedX, I went back through family reunion. This is what they taught me, was go back 7 years. And you download it in there, and RedX will scrub it, and it'll say, did that person ever sell? They did. Boom. Here's all their numbers. Here's all their addresses. So we send out a letter. I went on a listing appointment yesterday, which I'm signing up on Saturday. Someone that was trying to sell, and the letter just said your house might be worth more than you think.
I love that. That without a Ben Kenny outfit.
Yeah, it's like that in bold. Your house might be worth more than you think. The last 2 years, we've done a little bit of blurb saying last 2 years we've seen some aggressive appreciation. If you'd like to know what the house is worth, that person was trying to sell their house. He could.
I mean, you know, I use the RedX too. A lot of success I see, I don't call listings right when they expire. I have it set up to where I wait 7 days and then pull the list.
Oh, really?
Because in the first 7 days, every
They're
time
bombarded.
Dick and Harry's calling them.
Yeah.
But they may have already signed. This is what we said yesterday.
Yeah,
They may have already
but
signed.
even with that list, there's still like 50 to 60 to 70 people who still haven't signed.
Yeah, I got to tell you, with the next.
Where are we going?
I used to do expires all the time, okay? And I can't tell you, I used to always say, geez, I'm sure 100 people have called you today, so we start off with that. Confront it, it usually happens. And I've had a lot of people, because a lot of people are calling now, and then all of a sudden, you'll have people going, everyone's calling, I'm not going to call. And then you call and say, yeah, no one's calling. I've had people say, you're the first one. And it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. Well, do you mind if I come over?
My surprise.
Yeah.
Now that we're in this relationship, can I listen?
Yeah.
It's a contact sport. I mean, you just got to keep. I hate cold calling. I absolutely, positively. When I first started, that's all I did. I took Sweat Hogs. Sweat Hogs is here's a Bressers. Call until you get an appointment. Okay, that's a cold call. Now here's a warm call. We just listed a house. Here's a call until you get an appointment. Okay, here's an even warmer one. Here's an expired or for sale by owner. What I would do is I would lock myself in a room because I didn't want to hear anyone hear me fail.
Okay, amen, brother.
In hindsight, if you're not trying to fail, by me trying, even if I didn't get anything, I would get better and better at it. But my goal was to get out of that room, and the only way I get out of the room is to get on an appointment. And expired, and then I do the Bressers, expired, and then go on an appointment. And it's just It's a contact. I've called them before, and they've actually said, I'll come into the office and interview it. Really?
Beautiful.
I used to do floor time, where you did Coldwell Banker, you had to take it. You had to sit in a room with somebody. And at the time, my brother was the #1 agent for Coldwell Banker. And I'm sitting on the floor, and I'm just, just sitting in there. He said, he walked by and saw me, and he like came back, and he had like 5 listings in his hand, and he looked at me and said, that thing dials out. And I started calling out. Well, and here I am sitting next to somebody, and your whole deal on the floor is to get an appointment, but you're waiting for the call. And now calling expires. And the other agent's looking at me, and all of a sudden I'm going on an appointment, going on an appointment, going on an appointment. I mean, it's a contact sport. The more people we contact, open houses, there's just so many ways to lead generate. And this, you get to this point that you're spending money to make the phone ring, the cold calling open houses, that's what you need to do. You need to learn the dialogue and learn everything, because that's free. That's free. Tapping into your sphere of influence, gathering email addresses, putting together your pre-listing package. But be ready, have your listing presentation, have everything ready to go, and then just make it count, so when you show up, your business as usual, and hopefully don't get married to the results. Just try your best. And you know what? I still, to this day, when I walk off the listing appointment, even if I get it, I walk out thinking, what could I have done better? Is there something I should have done during that appointment? Tweaked it a little bit. Did I say something? Because every once in a while I'll deviate a little bit to see if the seller's response is, and if it's this, or if it's talking about KW Cares or something where we're giving back to the community, which is fantastic. We should really feel good about being involved with a company that does that. If you start pulling on their heartstrings, they want to list with the KW agent, guess what? You're the only KW agent there. You're closing. There's this very soft close. Yeah. So.
The listing presentation laptop or just?
No, I have it on the sheet. Did you?
Old
get one of
school
those?
paper. Which sheet?
The marketing list?
Yeah, that's my listing presentation.
This is the listing presentation just.
His CMA, his CMA is big.
Oh, my CMA, I'm sorry, my comparative market analysis, yeah.
I don't do a giant one.
I
Maybe I should start.
usually do the whole subdivision, everything. And I usually pull it out and go, first I explain how an appraiser's gonna do it. They're gonna look into the legal description, because they're cookie cutters, and then similar homes, apples to apples, colonies are going branches to ranches. If they don't find enough, they go to the surrounding square miles, and then similar year bill, yada, yada, yada. So I'll pull up everything in the subdivision, I usually put it right in front of them and say, now let's get specific. I want that there, because if I say, my neighbor said he sold his house for $900,000. What's the address? No, he didn't, it was only 6. I want to have the information there, okay? And then I'll get specific to it, and then I'll go into the surrounding square miles. I go through each one before I go on the appointment. This is me, do whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. I go through each one and I highlight it. Public record, what did they pay for it? How long was it on the market? Do histories on it? See if there's any price adjustments. So that people can see, here's your neighbor that, geez, they started off real high and then they adjusted. So mentally they realize that if we do that, we will have to adjust to catch up to the market. And then I go into the surrounding square miles. And it makes it very comprehensive for them to understand where it needs to be. Sometimes too, when you're done with it, I like to, I'm done with it, and then I'll say, well, what do you think? What do you want to price that? Because sometimes you're like, God, do I got to tell them a high number? Should I be telling them 225? Do they want to hear 225? And sometimes you're hoping for them to say 200, and they say, geez, would 200 be too much? That's a good place to start.
I love Diana Kokoskis. She says if I'm saying something that makes you feel uncomfortable, it's because I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and once again, they're one of the teachers for, actually the head person. Yeah.
The teacher.
Your son's really good too.
Their discs, bold discs are in my car at all times. I run them all the time.
There you go. You went through bold, right?
I did, and like I said, well, first of all, if you sell during bold, they'll pay for bold. I don't know if they'll do that again next time it comes, but they paid for my bold because you just have to sell a house every week.
You know, and even, and I'm sure they're going to offer something, but here's reality. What Bolt does is it teaches you dialogue, it teaches you good habits, and it teaches you to do what you need to do. And if you do what you need to do.
Oh, when I'm not in Bold, I didn't sell a house every week.
Yeah, even if you're horrible at it, you're gonna sell houses.
I need to be in Bold all year.
That's the bottom line, yeah. And there's people that, I mean, top producers that have been in Bold 3-4 times in a year. There's a lot of different places to do Bold.
Yeah.
It's good content, but a lot of it is, once again, dialogue, knowing what to say, how to say it, when to say it, how often to say it. I mean, that's what this is. It's the same thing over and over. And like I said, you go on a listing presentation and you don't get it, you know, come sit with me. Hey, look, I went on this appointment. Here's my CMA. I went over everything. You know, and it might just be dialogue. You're just tweaking it.
You leave the CMA with the seller?
Sometimes no. Sometimes no. If they do ask for it, geez, you know what? I'm going to go back to my office and I'm going to make a copy, but I'll drop it off. You're interviewing the other agent tomorrow. I'll drop it off after that. Yeah, as long as I'm here. If you made your mind up, you haven't. I'm here. You can't be afraid to ask the question. I mean, once again, going back to that open house question, to where, you know, what are you offering? And say like almost laughingly, kind of like, what are we offering? We're not making an offer. Why not? And they got to tell you. Well, we have a house to sell first, and we're not sure how much it's worth. Here you go. The funny thing, after that, a couple open houses later, I asked a couple that, and they said, we're getting married, and we both have a house to sell. They sat down at the table, and both of them were filling this out, and then an agent came in the preview, and I've got 2 people sitting there filling out a pre-CMA form, and she was looking at me like, what?
We're holding a clinic.
You just have to ask the question. You're not making an offer, and then, okay, you're not making an offer, why not? We have a house to sell, or, geez, you want a first floor master? Well, let me run a search for you. You know, or pull out your KW app and say, you're first floor masters. You know? Do you want to keep wandering around open houses, or do you want to look at specific homes that I email to you on a daily basis? So, I mean, it's just asking. And if they don't want to, you go on to the next one. You go on to the next one. My broker, when I first started off, he said, in an open house, if you could just get one, you know, sometimes you see people that come back from an open house and say, look at all these people that signed up.
Yeah, that's me. Not useful.
That's great. Now you got to decipher. Mickey Mouse went through it. Mickey.com.
Number 5. I got
555 1234.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, if the homeowner wants me to do that, what I always do is, before an open house, I'll hand it to somebody in the office, and I'll have you fill out your name, your number, your cell phone number, your email address.
Yeah.
And then another person do it, another person do it, because people are lemmings. They'll do exactly what the person did in front of them, and if they just sign their name, that's all they're going to do. Okay?
Right.
But I would rather build rapport with somebody that I know that's going to work with me, and I get their address, phone number, and work with that. If you get one person, you do the math.
Right.
You do one open house a month, say 200,000, 250,000. I mean, do the math over the year. God forbid they have a house to sell for 250. 500,000, that's 6 million in volume. I mean that's 150,000 plus off of 1 day a week open house. And then you get a listing and they call. So it's just, and then leveraging it so you get more off of it. You don't want to, because you can list a house, and yeah, your bottom line would be great if you don't advertise, but you want more people. You want more people. You got to let everybody know you're an agent, and not a secret agent.
Oh, look at me. I have a secret.
So, but anyway, but understand how to do the net proceeds sheet. Understand how to do all that, because if somebody asks you to do it, same with the exclusive right to sell contract. Now they're going to sign with you. Now you're looking at it going, when I first started, what I did is I grabbed all the paperwork. I read it. If I didn't understand it, I highlighted it. And then I got with somebody and said, please explain this to me in layman's terms. And the first time I did it, I handed it to somebody. They needed sunglasses because the whole thing was yellow. But I understood everything. So now it's just, this is a listing period. This is commission. Now it's just. And what I always do with purchase agreement and exclusive right to sell, This is a standard Western American County contract, very standard. I say very standard, then all of a sudden they're afraid to ask questions.
One of the first purchase agreements I wrote, you were here on the weekend, and it was all blank, but it was signed. The people had signed it, but they were all, had a bunch of blanks in it. And I brought it to you because I didn't know how to fill it out right. And you go, but they signed it and it's blank. And I'm like,
I don't know if that's good or not.
I know, you could, don't do, he's like, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't
It's
do
not a
that.
legit
And then
contract.
he goes, you'll do fine.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, but once again, now you know, but sit and know it, because you're gonna be, your goal is to be sitting across from a buyer or seller, and you have to explain it to them. But I said, I know all of it, it's just quicker if you, especially our purchase agreement is very user-friendly. It's got bold what this is, bold what that is, bold what that is.
Pete's Forms. Pete's Forms class is every Friday.
Right, there you
Every
go.
Friday.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
don't miss it. It's
If you have
free.
any questions,
I
ask.
still go to it every once in a while and pop in.
Yeah, yeah, so, anyway, but please feel free, we're gonna be putting together our pre-listing package, and we're gonna tweak some stuff in it. But it's doing something, I mean, doing something, anything. Questions? Is this good? The what? Oh, no, I'm gonna be doing my own personal one, so if you wanna come and see, peek your head in my office.
Where's your office located?
We're on the second floor, right next to the Mark Z Wing.
Third floor.
Third
Oh, third floor? Oh, second floor.
Sending you to the wrong floor.
Jeez, oh, Pete.
Total gym moves.
We're by
I'm sorry?
ourselves, away from everyone.
Shake them, Jim.
What time is peaceful on Friday?
I think it's usually at 8:30. It should be on the calendar.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
How much is your Woodland?
What's that?
How much is your Woodland?
Which?
You said you had something coming up in Woodland?
No, I have one right now for 665 walkout basement. 3,800.
Do you have anything Blue Heron, or I think I already asked you, Highland Lakes?
Highland Lakes, no, not at this point.